What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Men the Podcast. I'm Jacob Hale.
And I'm BJ Wilson.
And we have a very special episode for you guys. We're going to teach you how to get a Valentine's Day.
Oh, man, it's a little bit late. This coming out on Valentine's Day. It's a little too late for that.
No. We have a very special episode here. We're going to have a very special Valentine's Day episode. Kind of give our perspectives about relationships, being single, kind of just sharing our thoughts in general, something a little bit outside of what we normally talk about, but still think it's something that's good that be worth listening to, you know what I mean? But let's take care of the housekeeping things first. Go ahead, like, follow, and subscribe. At _men the podcast is our Instagram. TikTok, men_the_podcast. It's all one word. YouTube, Men the Podcast, and then obviously Apple Music and Spotify, where you can get all of our audio recordings if you would like to. And then shout out to our sponsor, Mark Hicks. We are not wearing shoes.
No, we're not.
It would have been great. We showed our shoes. But shout out to Mark Hicks, amazing supporter. We appreciate everything he's done for us. Definitely one of those guys that believes in what we're doing, believes in the cause, and we just appreciate all the work he's done for us. So go ahead and give him a follow on his Instagram at Mark Hicks Vault and show some love, man. He's got some great stuff. Get all your exclusive shoes and releases and everything.
Yep. All that's going to be tagged down below in the description. If you're watching on YouTube, it's going to be popping up on the screen for you. So
yeah,
it'll be easy to see.
It's always tough when we talk about it because I think between us, we are not big shoe guys
at all. No, yeah. I would love to be a big shoe guys, and I don't know if Mark, if you got those little red Astro Boy boots, if you got those in size 16, let me know, please, because I will wear those and I will get them for you immediately.
In size 16, Jesus.
Yeah, they're not going to have those.
He might have to pull some strings to get those for you.
Now they exist.
Yeah. Again, you might have to pull some strings to make something like that happen. But yeah, it's all good. So, quick rundown for the episode. We're going to talk about relationships. Again, we're going to talk about some, I guess you'd call it pros and cons. Yeah. Some pros and cons of dating. Also some pros and cons of being single. And then, of course, give our own personal stories and things that we're going through, because we're all human. We all got our own stories.
100%.
So, jumping into here, let's just get right into it. Let's talk about the fun stuff. Let's talk about dating, man.
Okay, yeah.
Dating's tricky. Dating's different for everyone. Dating is, it can make sense for everyone. It can not make sense for everyone.
Yep.
But it only really matters for the two people involved into
100%.
it. That's what makes it so tricky. So, I guess a big button turn that comes in the world of dating is love.
Okay, yeah. Sure.
When you're dating someone, you love them. They're amazing. They complete your world and everything like that. So, I guess we can start off with, in your opinion, what would you say your definition of love is? What is true love mean?
Yeah. So 100%, I don't think there is a definition at the end of the day. I think love is a set of actions, and of course it's a feeling, but I think it's more of a set of actions or how you perceive actions. So, for example, you might be in a relationship, and I've been in a relationship where somebody who chews really loudly never really noticed and never really cared, and it's something that might not annoy other people, but it's because this person I feel love for. That's like something like, okay, whatever, it's cool, I care about that person. But I think a better example would be is when they do stuff that might be more concerning, I guess, like let's say somebody that accidentally always falls and hurts themselves or something. Some people might get annoyed by that. If you're in love with them, that might make you love them more. That might make the feelings grow a little bit stronger because you're like, that's my person, and they do that. And it might just make you chuckle and not get upset with it. So I think that's a big part of the feelings of love. And then in terms of the actions of what feeling love is when you kind of do stuff you don't want to do. When you love somebody, maybe you get up early in the morning and cook them breakfast. Maybe you go pick them up from the bar or club after they are out for a long night. You know, you were asleep, but you're going to take care of them because you want them to be safe. So I think that's my ideal definition of love.
Yeah. I agree with you on that. You know, love doesn't have it may have a general definition, but it's very tailored to the individual. You know, what is love to you is not going to be love for other people.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, you know. So I think with my definition, I would say love is more of an understanding.
Okay.
You know, you have an understanding of your goals and what you would want,
Yep.
but also you tailor it to a degree that also works for the other. So you also have to think about her goals or his goals, you
Yep.
know, what that person would like and what they would want out of their life as well, you know. And
Yep.
that's where the understanding comes along. And in addition to that, I think true love is when you take all that person's faults, and you've alluded to this.
Yeah.
When you take all that person's faults and you're in that position where it's like, that's my person.
Yeah.
I'm sticking with them no matter
Yeah.
what, you know. And I think for a lot of people dating, there is a point where that happens. You know, the honeymoon phase, as people like to call it, you know, when that ends and you start to see all the little things that annoy you, you know, all the little quirks and stuff that they have. You know, maybe he's a loud snorer and you just noticed it. You know, maybe he's got a weird thing where he has to be on the game or something like that, you know. But when you get to that point, that's what I believe. I believe love comes after. That's really my motto with it.
Yep.
Love comes after, to where you got to accept everything about the person, all their flaws, all of their mistakes, and decide, you know, I'm still going to be with this person because overall my core values and his core values line up.
Yeah.
And everything is still smooth. You know, everything's all right. I'm not going to worry about the little things.
Yeah.
And for anyone that's dating or going through that, I would say that will probably always be my biggest advice, is that, you know, you have to make sure you have a firm understanding with the individual.
Yep.
It's not just about what you want. It's not just about what that other person wants.
Yep.
You know, you have to come to the table. You have to have, it's trade-offs. You have to be willing to have the trade-offs too.
Yep.
And then also accept that the love is just going to come after it. You're not going to always like the person, not going to always love the person, but that mindset that this is our end goal, we're building to what we need to build to, you know, I'm going to stay with you no matter what, right? So once you keep that, I mean, you know, it's a beautiful thing. You know, you see some amazing things out of that. And not to put you on the spot, but I think that's something that you know very well because your parents are still married.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And you see the results of that firsthand.
Yep.
You know, you see the life that your parents were able to create for you, and it's something that you really enjoy and something that you want out of your own life, you know? So I think yeah, people get stuck on the little things, but you gotta look at the big picture sometimes.
Yeah, so my parents, like you were saying, they had to deal with a portion where they had to do long distance out of nowhere. You know, they've been married for like 15 years, and my dad gets the opportunity to go work in DC, gets a promotion. I was young, but I can only imagine that was kind of hard on their marriage. Mm-hmm. And they still made it work. My mom would visit as much as possible, and she understood that he was doing it because he loved his kids and he wanted to make sure they had a better life. He also wanted to better himself, which I feel like is an important part of a relationship, is you guys are building each other up all the time. But yeah, my parents, they definitely know each other's little quirks and whatnot, and they get annoyed with each other. Everyone does. Yeah. But they still, at the end of the day, end of the night, always say goodnight, love you, whatever it is, go to bed happy. So,
yeah. Hey, that's a big thing. That's a big piece. Always go to bed happy.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you always make sure whatever goes on, you always hash that out with them before you go to sleep, before they leave the house. You know, you just never know. It's always a very important thing. I agree with that.
Yeah.
But I think it's very interesting. It's always interesting understanding a person's why.
Okay.
Like, why are they in the relationship? Why are you in the current relationship that you're in? And the reason why I'm curious about that is that a lot of those whys are, in my opinion, just really bad whys. They're just not constructive. So there's a lot of people, and I feel like this is important. There's a lot of people that are in relationships and think me being in a relationship is solving all my problems.
It's gonna make me happy, yeah.
Right. It's gonna make me happy,
Yep.
you know. And I've said it one time and I'll say it again, you know, happiness comes from within.
Yep.
You have to find happiness in yourself before you're able to bring that out and enhance and promote your happiness onto others, right? But you gotta be comfortable with yourself. And that's the first thing.
Yeah.
But I think that's one of the biggest mistakes, especially young people make today. And I'm young, so it's not like I'm perfect. I made that mistake too. It's that I've gotten in relationships where I felt like the relationship was supposed to solve my life problems.
Yep.
And that's not true. You know, I feel like that was very unfair to the people involved. I felt like me having those life problems and not addressing them hindered the relationship in and of itself. Is that I wasn't being true to myself. So in turn, that person didn't feel like they could be true to themselves. Yep. And there was nothing to build on because there was always some type of conflict or issue because the people weren't even real to begin with.
Yep.
You know?
You're putting that tremendous pressure on them too.
Yeah.
Trying to, a massive expectations for them to fix your life. That's just never going to work out.
Yeah. And that goes for it with a lot of things. You know, I know this firsthand. I know a lot of people whose whole life will be upside down if they get out of the current relationship they're in. And it's over small things, like financial reasons. They couldn't afford the rent of the place that they're at. They immediately would have to move. The relationship didn't work.
Yep.
You know, things like that. And I just think about that. It's like, that's so much stress. That's so much tension that you're causing. Every argument, you almost feel like it could be your last. And then when it's your last, again, your whole life flips over, you know? And I just feel like that's just not a good way to approach a relationship. Yep. That shouldn't be your why in a relationship, you know? Relationships should be an enhancer.
Okay.
It shouldn't be something that's forced. It shouldn't be something that's mandatory. It's meant to make your life better, but it's not meant to fix your life, you know? Yeah. Like, it's like a car, you know, if you need an oil change, you don't get a new paint job. No. It's like, you know, the paint's gonna look nice, the car's gonna look nice, but the car still needs an oil change. Right. You still gotta fix it, you know? And that's why I think of a relationship. Relationship is the add-on, it's the enhancer, it's to make your life better, but it doesn't 100% fix your life. You have to take it upon yourself to fix your life.
Yeah, for sure. So what would your thoughts be on getting into a relationship and let's say you don't have everything together, but you know, or you start getting that feeling of love, of, you know, this might be the right person?
I'd say the most important thing about a relationship, because again, a relationship is an understanding between two individuals.
Yep.
So the most important thing I would say is transparency.
Yep.
I think it's completely fair for you to come up to someone and say, this is where I am in life. This is where I would like to be. I want you to be a part of this, but I also want you to understand these are my shortcomings. These are things that I'm trying to fix on. And I feel like this is even better because one, you're fair.
Yep.
That's very fair. You're honest. You're transparent. You're upfront. You're all of those things. And then also, it kind of puts you to the test also.
Yeah.
Because now it's like, okay, you said all those things. So now 6 months, a year or so, you know, we need to start seeing some progress.
Action,
you know? Yeah. So I think that's a great thing. You know, and I do want to make that clear. You know, you're not going to be perfect. You can't be perfect.
Obviously. Yeah.
But if you do find yourself that you're still building, still a lot of things going on that you're trying to figure out, then just be upfront. Just be transparent with that person, what's going on. And then, again, that'll give them the opportunity of whether they want to be a part of that or not. And then wherever they decide, you just have to respect that.
For sure. I guess just on the topic of why we get in relationships, you know, my personal opinion on it is, I guess not the whole why get in relationships, but why I get into relationships is I usually pursue somebody as a friend first. And I think that's always a good way to go about it. I think it's kind of the same thing of don't marry somebody without living with them first. You don't really get to know them until you've lived with them for so and so months, which obviously do what you want, but that's just my view on it. But I think it's the same thing. So if you become a friend with somebody, you really get to know them, and it's kind of good to get to know that somebody's way weirder than you thought they were.
Mhm.
I think that's a huge thing for me, is just really understanding somebody and how they operate as a person outside of everyone gives off their initial personality, and it's not truly who they are. They put up a little bit of a mask for the most part. So you like to see who somebody truly is, and then if you start falling for somebody, then I think that's the time.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a big component of building a foundation for sure. I feel like that's kind of the point of dating to a degree, or maybe the older term was courting. But essentially, you gotta get to know the court. I know. I have to throw that term.
I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah, man. That I feel like that should be your point when you go to a date. Is that it's less about what you're doing,
Yep.
but more of who you're doing it with,
Okay.
and getting to know that individual. So I do know people that feel a need that they have to show off. They have to, pull all the strings. They have to give the grand finale has to be the first date type of thing, right? And that's fine, but at the same time, it's that, at the end of the day, you do have to know that person, and not every day is the climax. Not every day is the birthday. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it's like most of those days, 350 days out of the year, it's just a normal person.
Yep.
Just gonna be in and out. You're gonna see them when you see them and stuff. So you gotta be really comfortable with the known person who they are first. So building that foundation first is definitely encouraged. I definitely agree with that for sure.
Yep, for sure. You want to go ahead and introduce us to our sponsor for this episode? Cut to that real quick.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, we'll be right back, y'all.
We at Men the Podcast would like to give a partnership shout out to our guy Mark Cakes. Get at him for all your exclusive sneaker needs, sneaker drops, and future drops as well. There's no better combination than good kicks and good mental health.
And we're back.
Yep.
All right. So we feel like we covered dating and couples pretty well. So
For sure.
obviously we gotta show some love to the
The
single
other
people
side.
out there,
Yep.
So
enjoying their Valentine's Day, just the same.
what do they call it? Singles Awareness Day or something like that?
What is it, the day before? Or is it
No.
the same day? It's on the same day?
Yeah, it's on the same day.
That's actually crazy.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's for the rest of the people.
Yeah, hey, well, shout out to them.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
single awareness. But I think and it's interesting that it's called that because I think with that, I think there's a weird emphasis when you are single on Valentine's Day,
Oh, yeah.
and it's something worth discussing. For some reason, it does seem like you're the problem on that day if you're single, like you're doing something wrong type of thing. When in reality, I mean, let's call it for what it is. It's just a normal day. It really is a normal day. Long time ago, people way smarter than us decided that they could make a lot of money if they made that day special and gave it a name. So that's basically what Valentine's Day is. It's not really pertaining to anything crazy. It's just some point people decided that they can make a lot of money if they made a day for couples and forced them to go out to eat and spend money and stuff, which I'm not judging. I think it's a cool thing to do, but you just have to put your perspective on what it is and what it's all about, and then decide what you want to do from there.
Yeah.
So
I don't. I was
Well,
gonna
go
say,
ahead.
yeah. See, I feel like it's more people seeing other people happy with other people is what makes them a little bit upset about it. Like, I definitely feel you on the maybe they think they're the problem, but I could also understand, oh man, everyone is posting pictures of their relationship. This is kind of rough right now.
Yeah.
Like
Jealousy
you said.
and fear of missing out for sure.
Oh, a little FOMO?
Definitely, yeah, for sure. And that's why I wanted to start this segment by talking about, as a single person, you have to set your priorities, on what's important to you.
Yeah.
And I know for me specifically, when I look at the past years, the times where I haven't participated in Valentine's Day, I have to ask myself, what were my priorities?
Yeah.
Because, for guys, it's specifically, you talk to enough girls throughout the year to say you could have a Valentine's Day, but you decide not to. So it's really only going to come with one of two ways. Either you didn't want the relationship or the woman didn't want the relationship with you, right?
Yep.
So with that being said, if you didn't want the relationship, then what does that speak on how you're choosing girls and who you're talking to and who you're associated with, right?
Okay.
And then...
Yeah, no, that's actually really interesting. I never thought about that.
Yeah. And then on the other end, let's say you talk to 100 girls and 100 girls didn't want you. Are the 100 girls the problem or are you the problem? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's wild.
It's interesting. And that's why I said you got to set your priorities.
Yeah.
It's that, if you are unsatisfied with the dating market or what you're doing, then my personal advice is take a break.
Okay.
Take some time off, focus on yourself. More than likely, there's something that's going on with you that you probably need to fix in order for you to have the results that you would like to have. Yeah. And I'm curious, I think I blew your mind a little bit here, but I'm curious on your take. What do you think about setting priorities and, being single on Valentine's Day? Like, what's kind of the mindset with this?
Setting priorities, I definitely think that's very important, and I don't think you can fully give yourself to somebody if you're not mentally right 100%. And like you mentioned earlier, it's not just mental, it's financially, it's maybe you have problems with your family, and sometimes that can mess with relationships too. I do think it's possible to find somebody and, build that relationship and find a good dating market, but I also kind of think it depends on who you're surrounding yourself with, which kind of goes back to priorities. Are you going out every night or every weekend and you're telling yourself, oh, I want a girl that works 9 to 5, yada, 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 is this, that, and the other, doesn't like to party, but who are you surrounding yourself with? People who love to party. Mm-hmm. That's on you. That's you're in that situation, you would technically be the problem. So I definitely think, I don't have too much to say about priorities, but I definitely think it's important to get them together before you start dating somebody. And the Valentine's Day thing, dating on or having a date for Valentine's Day, I don't think that really matters at all. I was more so joking earlier.
Oh yeah, definitely. Let's call for what it is. And again, I'm a guy, so obviously I'm going to speak from the guy's perspective. But this is very universal advice. If you're a guy or a girl going through this, these are very important things that you should consider if you are single on Valentine's Day. Is that you need to think about your mindset. I'd say the worst thing you can do is try to force a relationship or be in a relationship if you don't feel that you're a complete person, right?
Yeah.
And you're never going to be perfect, but you can at least try to get there, right? So if you're single on Valentine's Day, the first thing you should think about is, how's my mental health?
Yeah.
How's it been this whole year? Have I been in a good mental frame? Have I been in a place where I'm comfortable with myself? I enjoy being around. I enjoy being alone. I always preach that it's like, you need some time by yourself, learn who you are.
Yeah.
I feel like that's very important to ask yourself. Another thing to ask yourself, is where are my goals?
Yeah.
What do I want out of this year? Where are we? What is it? Okay, I'm not going to say a date, but we're like a month into the new year, and everyone has a New Year's resolution.
Yeah.
How is it going right now? You're a month in.
Yep.
Have you started? If you started, what has happened? Have you failed? Is it going well? Have you kind of been slow to the start and want to pick it up and stuff? So that's part of the priorities, and that's part of the mindset is that if you really feel like you're having FOMO, if you really feel like you're jealous and stuff, that's a real good time to really just take a step back and think about it. Like, what's really important to me?
Yeah. Is
it really that important to have to be in a relationship? And then if it is, why?
Yeah.
Why is it that important to have to be in a relationship? What's going on inside of me that I feel like it's supposed to fix, or what's going on with me where I feel like I have to be with someone else, and those are some real questions to ask yourself,
It also could be a sign that it's time to start hanging out more with like your friends and stuff, I've gone to dinner with my mom. I don't know how many times. Like it's just something fun to do with somebody else. You know, me and Trey, you know, on the podcast, and then one of our other boys, we went and played mini golf the other week. That was a fun activity to do. Like, it doesn't always have to be something romantic. I mean, you have friendships, go ahead and do something with them. And Valentine's Day, why not take yourself out to dinner? Treat yourself. Who cares? It's possible.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. My birthday went by, and my birthday's not gonna say the date, but it's really early into the new year, and that's actually what I did. It was actually pretty interesting.
Okay.
I went out to dinner by myself for the first time. Or I wouldn't say the first time, but I went to a fancy dinner by myself for the first time. Yeah,
Okay.
super fancy. Got a great recommendation. If you guys live in the St. Louis area, go to Twisted Tree. Fantastic spot. I love it.
Had that one.
I know.
Write that down.
I'll have to think about it. I might take you over there sometime.
Yeah.
You know, it's cool, but you know, it was interesting because on one hand, I was like, this is great. I really enjoyed my time. And then on the other hand, even people, when I was telling them that, they're like, is that all you did for your birthday? It's like, you didn't do anything. You didn't go party. You didn't do anything else. And it's like, nah, I mean, that's just what I wanted to do.
Hey, and there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah. And it's the same thing for Valentine's Day, you know, like just do what you would like to do.
Yeah.
You know, like don't feel a need that because it's Valentine's Day, there's some special rules to going outside.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if you want to go out, if there's something you want to take a part of, the Applebee's 2 for $20, there's some type
Get
of
some
deal.
margaritas.
Yeah, whatever you want to do.
$5.
Like, don't be
So
afraid of
$5.
that. There you go. Don't be afraid of that. I mean, and that's a part of the advantages of being single, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, is that you do have that freedom to do what you would like to do, and you don't have to worry about accommodating for another person, you know. And I just say don't take that for granted. I mean, you know, learn about yourself, learn what you like to do always.
Yeah.
And Valentine's Day, as far as any other day, would be a good day for you to do that.
Yeah.
You know?
That honestly, it could apply to if you're in a relationship too. I mean, you need to communicate with your partner, whoever you're in a relationship with first. But if Valentine's Day is something you deem like maybe it stresses you out because there's so many high expectations for this day, talk to your partner and tell them, I don't want to do anything. I just want to sit home, watch a movie, vibe out, whatever it is. Like, if you communicate that, they should understand if they really have your best interests in mind, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I would say for anyone, the most important thing, I guess we're kind of sliding back into relationships.
Oh, yeah.
The most important thing is you have to realize that is another human being, you know, that's just not someone that's just going to be there for the day.
Yeah.
That's just not someone that's just there when it's convenient. That is a whole different human being with their own emotions and wants and needs and everything. So if you do feel like that's the route you want to take, you do have to take that into consideration. Is that that person isn't just going to be there for you to take a cool picture with.
Yep.
That person isn't going to be there just for you to go out to dinner with when you want to go out. You know, that is a human, that is a living, sentient being.
Yep.
That you also have to consider and think about and be there for, and everything that comes with a relationship. You know, relationship is work.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, for the single people that get FOMO and Instagram and all that stuff, you got to realize that Instagram is just a highlight reel.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a vacation.
Yep.
It only shows the good. You don't know all the trials and tribulations a couple has been through to get to that point where they're taking a picture with each other. And you have to keep that in mind. You know, it's that whenever you feel like you are ready to get into that, you got to remember it's work. It's a real thing. It's a lot of communication. It's a lot of understanding with that person that you have to go through, you know?
Yeah, that's definitely true. Man.
Enough said.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, well, getting on to our final point. This is interesting. I would love to hear what you think about this, but there's been this big thing. It's been going around for a while.
Oof.
And I think it's finally time that we start to really discuss it.
Okay.
there seems to be some sort of gender war.
Yep.
For some reason, men feel a certain way and women feel a certain way. I wouldn't say for some reason. I think we all have our own reasons of why it's like that.
Yeah.
It's, we're not blind to what's going on. But I guess I'm just curious what your general ideas about the gender war, or more importantly, what do you see out there to make you see that there is a real disconnect between men and women these days?
So the biggest thing for me, I was just talking about communication earlier. I think there is a huge disconnect between men and women. The example I'm going to use of this is the TikTok For You page. A lot of stuff is catered to certain individuals, and sometimes you end up on what wouldn't be your typical side of TikTok.
Yeah.
So I'll see a video and it will be some unspecific situation, and I'll have an idea of what I think the comments are going to be. And I go down to the comments, and as a male perspective, it surprised me to see a bunch of men saying, if he wanted to, he would. That is probably one of the most common phrases that I've started to realize with the gender wars.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I personally experienced in a previous situation. So probably like 3-4 years ago, I had my girlfriend at the time was going to graduate, and she had COVID graduation, so she was not going to have anything special. It was going to be something at her house, and it was a Zoom graduation. It's like, cool, I'll hop on the Zoom. I had kind of she had kind of got accustomed to me surprising her for stuff. And so the night before her graduation, she found out I wasn't going to be there. And she was kind of hurt by that. Mm-hmm. And her mom ended up telling me, I'm like, oh, I didn't know you wanted to be there. Got in the car, drove, 4 hours? Yeah, 4 hours to where I had to go, and I went to the graduation. But it ended up leading to one of the biggest argument type things that we ever had, because she was under the impression that I was just going to do it. If he wanted to, he would. And I was under the impression if she wanted me there, she would just ask. So it was something that could have been completely avoided if we just took the time to communicate. And I think that's the big issue between men and women right now, is that they don't know how to communicate with each other.
Yeah. I think I 100% agree. I think communication is very important, and it's a skill. It's a true skill to be a good communicator. You can have someone like me, who's an over communicator, and someone who really tells you what's on their mind, and it's pros and cons with that, but for sure, it's not an easy thing. I'm never going to make it seem like communicating is easy, because part of communication is understanding what you need to say to a particular individual. There's certain things you can say to certain people, and there's certain tones you can have, and there's certain ways you can phrase it to certain people for it to hit. And you wouldn't know that until you have chemistry with the person for a while.
For sure.
So I definitely agree with that. That's one thing I do notice, is that there's very bad communication on both sides. Now, obviously, we're both biased. We're both guys. So I'm not going to attack this argument as someone who is a guy, because I feel like that's too easy. It's too general. Obviously, I've only been a guy, so I'm going to have my viewpoint of what I think. So I'm going to try to be as neutral as I can of the situation. And the most neutral way I can be is that I think both sides realize that there is a very legitimate problem. I think both sides don't want to admit that they're not getting what they want, or one side is and one side's not, or vice versa, or both sides are not admitting, whatever it may be. And I would just say, for this dynamic to work, you gotta have communication, you gotta have understanding, and you gotta understand that anything in life, especially in a relationship, it's going to be trade-offs. There is no perfect scenario for the guy. There is no perfect scenario for the girl. But both sides have to recognize that there are no perfect scenarios and be willing to go with the trade-offs. That's what we talk about with core values. I always I've said this before. I talked about this when negotiating with a job. I say, think of 5 things that you need, right? And then be content with like 3 of them.
Okay. Yeah.
Because essentially that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, you're not going to get everything you want.
Yeah, you're going to have 5 things that are most important with you in a relationship.
Yep.
And at the most, you're going to get 3 of them.
Yeah.
But it's those 3, it's the 3 good enough for you? It's really what the question comes down to be. And I feel like that's a big thing that both sides need to recognize is that, you got to be okay with that.
Yeah.
That has to be all right. The grass is not always greener on the other side. It's really not. Everyone always says that, but it's real. There's so many relationships that implode only because they think they're going to get a better deal.
Yep.
But in reality, it's like you gotten everything you need. You just wanted more. You just want it to be greedy,
Yeah. In reality, you just got to find a way to make it work.
Yeah, and more importantly, and to appeal to both sides, you have to understand is that society is built on relationships. The world is built on relationships, and more important, families.
Yeah.
But we're not even there yet. Let's just talk about the relationships, right?
Yep.
You got to think, for your relationship to work and for the excitement of your life, there are whole industries that are built and geared towards that.
Yep.
Valentine's Day is a good example. When you go on Valentine's Day, if you have a significant other, think of all the places you go to. Those are all industries that are built for couples.
Yep.
Built for relationships.
100%.
Think of what happened if all those industries went away. You're talking about restaurants. You're talking about like a Pug Shack.
Yeah.
Places like that, concepts like that, bars like that, where activities, you think of amusement parks, you think of all those things. Those are built towards relationships and more importantly, built towards family.
Yep.
Society is built towards relationships. If you want to be an individual, I get that. I feel like I need to be an individual at times. I understand that. But I do understand there wouldn't be a society if there wasn't for relationships.
Yeah.
And everyone has a part in that.
Yep.
And that's just something that people need to keep in mind. If everyone wants to be separate, the guys are over here, the girls are over here, there wouldn't be a society.
Yep.
It's as simple as that. And if that's what you want, then okay.
Right.
But if enough of you guys want that, you can't go back. You just gotta be okay with that when society falls apart. And unfortunately, I think you do see that to a degree. You do see a decline in society. You see a decline in the things around you. You see a decline in, obviously, men and women and dynamics and happiness. I'm going on a tangent here.
You're good.
But man, you look at this world. You look at who we are as human beings. This is the most free, the most safe, the most protected, the most prosperous human beings to ever live on this planet, right? But somehow we are the most unhappy. Think about that.
Yeah, no, that's wild.
And I think the unhappiness really comes from a lack of being able to understand the other side, your counterpart.
Yep.
And I'm really strict on that. That is a counterpart. We're not designed to be separate. We're supposed to be together. And I think that's just something everyone needs to consider on both sides, is that at the end of the day, you have your values.
Yeah.
But more importantly, the greater picture is that we have a full society that is built off of this concept. And if we stray away from that concept, then you're going to risk losing the entire society around you, which is risking the entire existence around you, which is the existence that all of your ancestors from before you have always wanted and have never lived to see that day.
Yeah.
It's deep. It's
very deep.
But it's a real thing you have to think about.
Yep.
And that's what I think with the gender wars. That's where it really comes down to, is that it's not going to be a war for that long.
Yeah.
Because either something changes or no one's going to win. Yep. And that's really the end goal, is that if it's not going to change, then no one's going to win in the end.
Yep. 100%. Wow. That was a great perspective. Man, I guess final thoughts?
Man, that's I would say I appreciate you guys for checking this out. I feel like this was a great episode.
Oh, yeah,
A lot of stuff
definitely.
we talked about here. And like I always say, don't forget, like, follow, and subscribe, support everything that we got going on. Definitely. And, before I close it out, is there anything you would like to add?
Oh, I mean, enjoy your Valentine's Day. It's just coming out on Valentine's Day, whether you're in a relationship or not in a relationship, whether you have a date or you don't. It doesn't matter. Live your life. Be happy. It's just another day, like we said earlier. So just enjoy yourself.
There you go. And as always, stay tuned for the next episode.
Yep.